In the speak that I use on the website, it's a permaculture demonstration, education, experimentation site for all types of sustainable off-grid infrastructure and growing in a sustainable fashion. But actually, yeah, it's my home. It's where I have huge amounts of fun experimenting, reinventing wheels. So yeah, working at living more in tune with natural systems. I was looking for somewhere where I could grow my own food, where I could put a roof over the heads of my children and feel reasonably secure about it. I mean, I was living in a rented cottage in Scotland, no ability to grow my own food, no control over my bills, single mother, 3 kids. So I felt quite trapped. And I started looking around. This is a bit of rain. Do you want to move?
It is rain, isn't it?
Yeah.
This officially is rain.
This officially is rain. More and more there was this feeling of having to do this thing. Not just permaculture, but building with natural materials, living more sustainably, you know? It just got stronger and stronger and stronger until I was feeling like, you know, I was walking around with this thundercloud above my head about to burst. It felt so imminent. Well, on October the 15th last year, fires that had already started a week previously reignited on the back of the tailwind from Hurricane Ophelia, and we had this huge, massive fire, unprecedented in Portugal's history, that burnt something like 2,000 square kilometres in less than 24 hours. I lost all my volunteer accommodation, a caravan. I lost part of this bathroom behind us, loads of fruit trees, loads of chestnuts, all my pine woods. The pines can't withstand a fire, they die. We walked down to the village as the fires hit. I sat in the village and watched that little house burn. At that moment I went, okay, am I still supposed to be here? And the answer was a resounding yes, you know, sense that no, I wasn't to go anywhere yet. You know, so until that sense changes, here I am. In the winter time, I mostly don't have volunteers in the winter, and it's nice to be in a quiet place and allow yourself to just live with what's around. I mean, it's interesting, it's very interesting to me that we only seem to need a persona when we interact with other humans. When you're on your own in nature or with animals, there's no need for any of that, you know? So you are much more in the flow of life, and things become much clearer, and it's a really nice place to be. So I love this place in the winter. I'll kind of surface once every fortnight or so at one of the local markets just to show everyone I'm still alive and haven't gone completely crazy up in the hills, but I love that. Yeah, I love that alone time. Instead of having everything you need for your life contained within the one building, it's smeared all over the place. This building here is the communal building, and it only has communal facilities. All the bedrooms and bathrooms are everywhere else. So whenever you move from one room of the house to another, you're interacting with the Kinsa. So you're not cocooned in this structure which allows you to separate yourself from the natural world. It's really flexible, and I like how it works. This is a bathroom. It's made out of cob, which is a mix of clay, sand and straw, and the walls are about so thick. So
why build with cob?
Because,
why build in this way?
First of all, because it's really good fun. It's like mud pies for grown-ups, because you can sculpt it, you can make it defy gravity, you can do all kinds of things with it. You don't need plumb lines, you don't need right angles and straight lines. You can shape it. It's like sculpting your own building.
So can we see inside?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
We never even
wow.
took the moss off the wall of the terrace, so it's still there.
This looks super beautiful. Stunning. Wow.
Cob building is a long process. It's not quick. It takes time to stomp the mix together to get it to the right mix and consistency. And when things slow down to that pace, then, you know, all these lovely little touches like the additions to the building and the little quirks start to become apparent.
What do we have here?
A composting flush toilet. How it works is the wastes get flushed from the toilet into an IBC tank, which is half to 3/4 full of a good mixture of organic materials. So the wastes fall on the top, the water goes through, solids remain behind. There's a whole ecosystem of worms and their associated microbiology, and the water comes out pretty clean. It works really, really well. I mean, it worked far better even than I thought it would.
Let's look at some poop. Yeah, so I'm looking here at a bunch of poo and like other organic waste, and there's like literally no smell. Like just a slight hint of organic matter, but it's very different from a dry toilet. So that's awesome.
Which is another plus point, because a lot of people are very put off by the smell from dry toilets, even if it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And the other really important motivation for putting in a flush system and trialling that here is that most of the Western world uses a flush toilet. And with the best will in the world, you're not going to convert everyone to using a dry toilet. So if we can come up with a system that can be not only used with a flush toilet but retrofitted to existing septic tank systems, which this can, then that opens it wide.
So I've seen a lot of places generating power with photovoltaics, quite common, but this is different, so I'm curious.
It's a water wheel, and it generates power in the winter only, because only in the winter do we have enough water to run it, and we don't need it at any other time of year anyway. So it generates power coming down this chute, and this that we're sitting on is actually a storm drain. It was constructed at the time the Quinta was first built, so that the excess water that comes with the winter thunderstorms could be directed down here. So we have this wheel. It's just a 1 meter water wheel, and it works kind of like a hybrid impulse turbine rather than an overshot water wheel, because it's not very big. Generally in an overshot water wheel, it's the weight of the water in the buckets over a big diameter wheel that provides the power, and it's hugely efficient. But with this, we only have room for a small wheel, and we also have water coming down a steep incline, so we can kind of drive the wheel as much with the force of the water coming down as we can with the weight of the water in the wheel. It provides everything we need. Generally it will chug along at a steady 100 watts in the winter, which is not a huge amount, but that's 2.4 kilowatt hours over the course of 24 hours, which is as much power as I use. I consider myself to be a cell in the body of this planet, and there is an overall intelligence which guides all Earth systems, and we're part of it, whether we see ourselves that way or not. We may be going around with these blinders on thinking that man and planet are separate, but we're not. We never have been. So when you start living more in tune with the natural world, thank you butterflies, then there's a very strong sense of guidance. A very strong sense of guidance. I couldn't say where it comes from, I mean, but it just appears in my head, so I listen to it and do what I'm told.